Okay, so with this example, you are going to find the Maclaurin series for the function f of x equals what? 1 over 1 minus x. I know Maclaurin series is always centered at x equals 0. Okay, so the first thing you have to do here is that you have to write the general formula for the function, okay, and this will help us to continue easily. So the general formula for the function can be written as f of x equals the sum of the first derivative of the function at 0 over n factorial multiplied by what? X to the power n. Okay, for the value starting from n equals 0 to infinity. Okay, so this is the general formula for the Maclaurin series. Okay, so if I'm to write this, I have the first term to be, I have f of x to be equal to the zero derivative of the function at 0 over what? 0 factorial. Okay, over 0 factorial. Okay, multiply by what? X to the power of 0. And any number to the power of 0 is what? Is 1. So you can ignore this. Okay, plus the first derivative of the function at 0 all over what? 1 factorial multiply by what? X to the power 1. Okay, plus the second derivative of the function at 0 over 2 factorial multiply by what? X to the power 2. And then this will continue. Okay, so this is the general formula. Okay, so our main focus here will be on the coefficients. Okay, will be on this coefficient here. Okay, so that's what our main concern will be, because if you consider these ones, you continue having what? X to the power 3, x to the power 4, x to the power 5, and so on. So our main focus will be on the what? The coefficients. Okay, so what you are going to do is that, the general formula for the coefficient is c sub n equals what? The m derivative of the function what? At 0 over what? N factorial. Okay, so now if I want to find the first term, okay, if I want to find the first term, you know that our n value starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and then it goes on. Okay, so now that means what? Our first term, we are going to find the zero derivative of the function. Okay, we are going to find the zero derivative of the function. Then put in the 0 to get our first coefficient. Okay, so now for this to be easy, let's find the derivative of the function. Okay, we are going to find the derivative of the function, and then when you find the derivative of the function, you just come and find the derivative of the function at what? 0. And this will give us what? The coefficient. So let's look at how you are going to do this. Okay, so first of all, I'll go ahead and then find for the first coefficient. Okay, so that will be c sub 0 equals what? The zero derivative of the function at 0 over 0 factorial. Okay, so what would this be? The zero derivative of the function is to say that what? We are not taking any derivative of the function, so it's zero derivative of the function, so it will still give us the function. Okay, so the zero derivative of the function. Okay, let me first take off the 0 factorial. So let's focus on the zero derivative of the function. Okay, at 0. So the zero derivative of the function, which will be of x, will give us the function. So we still have what? 1 over 1 minus x. And therefore the zero derivative of the function at 0, will be 1 over what? 1 minus 0. And this will give us what? 1. So we have our first coefficient to be what? 1. Okay, so now let me write down that one here. So we have what? This value to be what? To be 1. So I have 1. Okay, I have 1 here, because if you do 1 over 0 factorial, we will still get what? 1. Okay, so that's why I chose to write it as 1, but let's leave it this way. Okay, so the first term is what? 1 over 0 factorial. Okay, so now let's focus on the second one. So for the second one, you have to find the first derivative of what? The function. You have to find the first derivative of what? The function. So let's look at that one also. Okay, so for the first derivative of the function, let's look at how you're going to go about that. So this function here is given to me to be 1 over what? 1 minus x. Okay, so the function is f of x equals 1 over 1 minus what? X. And I can write this as 1 minus x to the power what? Minus 1. Okay, I can write this function this way to the power what? Minus 1. When we write this function this way, it will be very easy for us to find the derivative of this function. Okay, so let's take the function to be this. Okay, so we are using the function in this form because when we try to use it in this quotient form, it might be a bit complicated. So let's write the function at this form and then let's find the derivative of it. Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, so now you have our function f of x to be equal to what? 1 minus x to the power what? Minus 1. So now let's find the first derivative of this. The first derivative of this. So that will be f prime of what? X will be equal to what? So I'm going to multiply by the power. So I have what? Minus 1 multiplied by 1 minus x. Okay. To the power what? Minus 1 minus 1. That will be to the power minus 2. Okay. So when you get here, don't forget what? The chain rule. Okay. You first find the derivative of the whole function, which is what? To the power minus 1. Then you come and find the derivative of what? What we have inside. That's what we are applying here. So when I find the derivative of what's inside, we'll have what? Minus 1. Okay, because that's what? 1 minus x. And the derivative of 1 is 0. And then the derivative of what? Minus x is what? Minus 1. So we are going to multiply this by what? Minus 1. So at the end, we'll get 1 minus what? X to the power what? Minus 2. Okay, you get what? 1 minus what? X to the power what? Minus 2. So let's find the derivative of what? Of the function what? When x is what? 0. So that will be f prime of 0 will be equal to what? 1 minus 0 to the power what? Minus 2. Okay, so when I do this, this will give me 1. Okay, this will give me 1. So that's for our first derivative of the function at 0 equals what? 1. Okay, so now let's come and write our coefficient. Okay, so now our coefficient will be plus 1 over what? 1 factorial. Okay, multiply by what? X to the power 1. Okay, so that's what you have me. Okay, so let's continue and then do same for the third term. Okay, so for the first derivative of x, we got what? 1 minus x to the power what? Minus 2. Minus 2. So you are going to take what? The second derivative of the function. Okay, so that will be f prime prime of x. This should be equal to what? You are going to multiply by what? Minus 2. So I have what? Minus 2 multiplied by what? 1 minus x. 1 minus x. Okay, to the power what? Minus 2 minus 1. This will be to the power of minus 3. So let me make it to the power of minus 3. Times the derivative of what's inside, and that will give me what? Minus 1. Okay, so when I multiply minus 1 by 2, this will give me 2 multiplied by what? 1 minus x to the power what? To the power minus 3. So now let's fix in our value 0. So the second derivative of the function at 0 will be equal to what? 2 into bracket 1 minus 0 to the power what? Minus 3. Okay, so let's look at this also. Okay, so this gives me 2. Okay, so this gives me 2. So now let's kind of write our coefficient. So that will be plus 2 over 2 factorial multiplying what x to the power 2. Okay, so this is what I have for the second term. Okay, sorry, for the third term. So you can go ahead and then do for the third term also. Okay, so now let me free up some more space here. Okay, so need to free some more space. Okay, now so let's do for the third one also. Okay, so that means we are going to find the third derivative of the function. Okay, so that will be f, that's f prime 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 of what, x. I know from the second derivative, that's f prime prime of x, we got what, 2 into bracket 1 minus x to the power what, to the power minus 3, to the power minus 3. So we are going to use this to find for the third derivative. So I'm going to multiply 2 by what, minus 3. So that will be minus 3 times 2. Okay, multiplying 1 minus x to the power of minus 3 minus 1, that will be to the power of minus 4. Okay, times the derivative of what we have inside, that will be times what, minus 1. So when I do this, this will give me 6 multiplied by 1 minus x to the power of minus 4. So let's find the derivative of the function at x equals what, 0. That will be f prime prime of the function at x equals 0. So this will give me 6 into bracket 1 minus what, 0 to the power of minus 4. And this will give me the answer of what, 6. Okay, so now I'm going to write the third, that's what, the fourth term, okay, for the series. Okay, so you go to what, let me write this here. You got f prime prime of the function at 0 to be equal to what, 6. Okay, so now that I have that there, let me free up some space here. Okay, so now let's go back to our series. So the third term will be, okay, let me write, let me, okay, so that will be plus, you got what, f prime prime of f triple prime of what, 0 to be what, 6. Okay, so that will be 6 over what, 3 factorial. Okay, multiply by what, x to the power of 3. Okay, so this will keep on going. Okay, so now let's simplify the series. Okay, let's simplify the series. So 1 over 0 factorial will give me 1. Okay, so that's plus 1 over 1 factorial times x to the power 1. 1 over 1 factorial will still give me 1. Okay, and then 1 times x to the power 1 will still give me what? X to the power what? 1. So this is the second term. Okay, plus 2 over 2 factorial. You know, 2 factorial is what? 2. So it will cancel out. So then we have what? X to the power 2. Okay, plus 6 over 3 factorial. 3 factorial is what? 6. That's what? 3 times 2 times 1. So that will give us 6 on 6. So they will cancel out. So at the end, we have what? X to the power what? 3. So it's that what the series continues. You will have x to the power 4 plus x to the power 5. So this will continue. So yeah, this will continue. So I can say plus x to the power of n. So that will be the general formula for this. Okay, so now since we know the general formula to be what, x to the power n, okay, we can try and put it in place of what, this sound formula that we have written here. Okay, so now what I'll do is that instead of me writing what, the n derivative of the function as 0 over what, n factorial to what, to the power what, multiply by what, x to the power n. Instead of me writing this, I can take away all this and then kind of write this there. That will give me what, the actual general formula for the series. So I now can write what, I know f of x to be equal to what, 1 over 1 minus what, x. Okay, and this is equal to the the sum of the power series fn of 0 over n factorial. Okay, multiplying x to the power of n for numbers starting from 0 to what? To infinity. Okay, so now what I'll do here is that instead of me writing this whole thing here, okay, I can write what? X to the power n there. So I'm going to clean this and then write this as x to the power of n. Okay, x to the power n starting from n equals 0 to what? Infinity. So this will now give us the general formula.